the self an illusion? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, which is officially baby-friendly. This evidence-based initiative is designed to support mother-baby bonding and optimal infant feeding practices by upholding the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding. San Juan Regional Medical Center, officially baby-friendly, and serving the Four Corners since 1910. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com.
Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, February 25th. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Micklin. Thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air here in San Juan County, 103.3 FM over the air in Durango, Colorado, and everywhere from our website streaming at ksje.com. Special good morning also to our viewers. This is visual radio after all, so good morning to you, our viewers who are watching us live on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. We're glad you're with us as well this morning. Education is our topic today with my guest, James Olivas from the Bloomfield School District. Stay tuned for our conversation. It's starting in the next few moments right here on KSJE. And then, of course, later on this hour, it is Tuesday, so it's our Adopt a Pet Tuesday segment. This morning at 8:50 a.m., I'll be checking in with Amber Francisco from the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter about some of the pets that are available for adoption this week. And you'll meet some of them, including this one on the screen right now. That is Lane, the cat available for adoption this week. Learn more about her coming up later on this morning at 8:50 on KSJE. Mick Hess will be here roving with the arts after the news at 9 a.m. He's got more Bach cantatas to play for us on the classical music program Roving with the Arts today on KSJE. In addition to Facebook and YouTube, don't forget about our Twitter accounts. You can follow us there or check us out on Instagram as well. Weather forecast, one more windy day in store for the region. Sunny and windy and a bit colder today than yesterday. Today's high 40 degrees in Farmington, 15 overnight. Sunny and a bit warmer tomorrow with a high of 43, warming up to 51 by Thursday, and 53 by Friday, and near 60 with partly sunny skies on Saturday before maybe another chance of rain in the forecast for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week. Of course, we always say that visual radio can take you places. We'll take you to a place where it is raining this morning, and that is our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Some maybe low clouds obscuring some of the monuments there that you normally would be able to see from the top of the Washington Monument. All you can really see is the reflecting pool there in front of the Lincoln Memorial and a little bit of the tidal basin there off to the left. But right now it's 48 degrees in Washington. Rain in the forecast today with showers off and on, the high 53 and the low 46. Let me introduce my guest who is here with us this morning to talk a little bit about his work with the Bloomfield School District. James Olivas is here. Good morning.
Good morning, Scott. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Welcome back to KSJE. It's good to have you here. You are the Director of Data, Operations, and Assessment for Bloomfield Schools.
That's right. I've been doing that for the past couple of years and enjoying every bit of it.
Very good. So last time you were here, I think we were talking a bit about security, and that is always an important issue when we talk about school and school safety and the safety of students and staff. So give us an update on how things are going. You've been able to spend some state money and improve the safety and security at some of your schools?
Yes, we have. We've been busy at Bloomfield trying to make schools safe and having that safe feeling around the campuses. I first want to start off by thanking the community for passing the 2-mill levy. I mean, that does volumes for us in being able to achieve some of the security success that we're having in upgrading our schools.
Right. Frees up some money, I guess, from the budget, too, because mill money can be spent on a number of things, and if you didn't have it, you'd have to pull that out of the general fund, I suppose.
That
right?
is correct. I mean, if we don't have that mill money, then we have to pull it out of the general fund, which then minimizes other things that we can do. So having that mill money allows us to do the expansions, and then, like I said, pays for all the basic cleaning necessities and all the equipment upgrades, or when things go bad in a school, boiler goes out, AC system goes out. You know, that's the money that we're using to keep schools functioning.
And those aren't cheap fixes,
Oh,
from
no.
what I understand. I haven't replaced a boiler in a long time, but I could only imagine for a school, that's a major expense.
Right, those expenses are really high. I mean, when you're looking at an air conditioning unit, you're looking at anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000, depending on how big of an area you're trying to heat or cool. So, I mean, these are big expenses. They require lots of funding. So, again, the 2 mil levy helps us. And again, without the community support, you know, we'd be in a pinch right now.
Very good. Well, I think it's kudos to the community again for passing that again and allowing the school district to do some of these things. And so when we talk about safety, what are some of the things that you've been able to do with I guess, money from the mill and also money from other sources too, right? It's kind of one of those things, got to put sources together.
Right. So one of the first things we did this year, we actually improved the entry into the high school. So we made more of a security vestibule so that we could vet visitors as they come in, and then give them controlled access into the building. That's kind of like last time I was here, we talked about how old schools are. You know, if you're going to Bloomfield, we have schools that are built in the 1950s, the 1980s, and the design back then was not what the design needs to be today. So
Doors everywhere.
Doors everywhere.
And they were unlocked most of the times during the
And-
school day,
and-
which today would be, I know it makes you nervous probably just to hear me talk about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, having open access to a school these days, you know, that's, you know, we've seen the news headlines everywhere. So
Sure, right.
controlling the access and just being better stewards of who's coming in and how they're accessing the building makes a huge difference. So like I said, we've upgraded the BHS high school front entry. It's nice, it's still welcoming, but yet we can now have better functionality of how visitors are accessing the
Right.
school.
And I guess that just goes to show maybe how quickly thoughts are changing about school security, because Bloomfield High School is one of your newer schools, and yet still it needed some security maybe improvements because of current day threats and issues facing schools today.
Exactly. I mean, you know, when we started off, we had a mindset that everything should be welcoming, everything should be open and free and whatnot. But due to things out that have happened even close hereby,
Of course.
we need to think differently, and it's not a matter of making things unwelcoming, but just making things safe. It's better to be proactive than to be reactive, and then so if we can do that through design, and even if it requires designing, like you said, newer schools, then we got to do it.
Right. Exactly. And so this just allows folks, if I'm coming to visit someone at Bloomfield Schools, I would go into that front door and be welcomed at the front desk there, or at least talk to somebody through a window.
Right.
And then I could be buzzed through to the next stage of my visit, right?
That is correct.
That's what it's all about.
That's all it is about.
But that's probably a pricey remodel for some things, right?
Yeah,
to do it that way.
that is a pricey remodel. I mean, you're looking somewhere in the area of $70,000 just to do a small project like that. You mentioned other grants that we might have gotten. So we went out with PSFA, which is the Public School Funding Authority, and with the PSCOC, the Public School Capital Outlay Committee. And we applied for a outside of adequacy grant, and then so we were fortunate that we got the outside of adequacy grant. We're looking at spending money that we've received from that grant to continue to improve school security. Currently, we sit where we have a few schools that we would like to improve the security. Just like we did in all our other schools, but again, those projects are a little more pricey.
Right.
So we're again fortunate that we got the state funding to do that, and so we're looking forward to doing good things for Bloomfield Schools.
Nice. Now, was it a project at Nabaani too that was improved for safety reasons?
Right. So the outside of adequacy grant we submitted it for Napaani to change the way you access the school. Nabani is a school that when it was designed, you walk right into the school, and then like most schools across the state of New Mexico, which are older, the concept was, well, the office is further down the hall, and then so you're walking to the office. And Nabani is kind of like one of those schools. So we are gonna apply the funding that we got from the outside of adequacy grant to move the office forward, so that the first thing that you hit when you go into the Nabani would be the office.
Got it. And then again, that's one of the schools. It's probably, I don't know exactly when Nabani was built, but I know it wasn't within the last 30 years since I've been here,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
within the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's relatively an older school.
30 plus years old. So,
Yeah.
so there you go. But that is money. And again, these are competitive grants. This is money that the state had for school security and safety, but districts had to apply in a grant form and then be awarded these grants on a competitive basis, I guess.
That is correct, and this one is actually tied to schools which actually, I think there were, I don't remember the exact number, it was in the 20s, and then out of those 20 school districts, out of the 20 school districts, there was only a certain number that got the grant, and this one was tied to the schools that received impact aid and whatnot. So we were fortunate we fell into that class of a district, so we were able and fortunate enough to apply for that type of grant.
Very good. And then you're certainly looking and continuing to look at other grant opportunities and the other schools in the Bloomfield School District as to what maybe their needs might be, and each one's probably very different.
That's correct. We try to do a really good job at looking at what grants are out there. I mean, I put my pride off to the side, and I'll be asking anybody for any type of funding that we can get. Funding these projects, again, is really expensive, and I know it's going to take outside money to help us. Again, we want to make sure that the money that we have within our GO, we're using it directly with students. We're directly impacting the classroom. So if we can focus the large amounts of money to do that, and then we can see grants to do all the other stuff, that would be great. But it is tedious work. It is hard looking for those grants, and it is, and do we qualify for those grants? So
Sure.
it's a lot of labor-intensive type of work to see what can we qualify for.
Right. Well, and you may be competing against some of the larger districts, too, that may have dedicated people that can just spend their days writing these grants and things like that, whereas Bloomfield may not have as many folks, if any, to do that.
Right. We're a rural school. We have a small staff. And it is hard to compete against bigger districts. I mean, bigger districts have more people, and so, we have the same expectations as any other district in the state of New Mexico. Whether you're big or small, we all have the same expectations. So, that when you're working from a smaller school district, yeah, it does take work, but it's good work.
Well, and you've shown some success.
And we've shown
with
some
these
success.
grants that you've been awarded, so that's
Yes.
good news. So that's great. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is a new soccer field that's going in, right, over at near Bloomfield High School.
That's correct. So right behind Bobcat Gym, we're looking at putting a new soccer field there. We've been in this process now for a couple years. We were actually fortunate here in the past year or so. We had Envirotech do a great donation, and they helped us demolish all of the old softball field that was there.
So softball field is out, and
Softball
soccer's
field
in.
and
Because
soccer's in.
Because you have new softball fields to replace that,
Right. A few years back.
I don't want to
we
get
did-
letters from the softball people.
No.
Yeah.
No, softball's not going away.
That's right.
What happened is it was just an older field. They have a brand new facility. Well, it's not brand new, but they have a newer facility that was built when they upgraded the facilities.
Right.
We had an older place. We wanted to bring soccer back to the high school. It's not that they didn't have soccer; they were just practicing at a different school. So having the event there or the soccer complex there for them would be a great positive for the students because they're playing on their home turf.
Right. Right.
So, like I said, with Envirotech helping us out and doing the demo, we also had, I believe it was Fast Signs, moving some of the lighting and whatnot. We got a lot of community support to help us. We're very, very thankful for them because that helps us move forward. It always says it takes a village,
Right.
And so
Sure.
the village has responded, and so we're very, very, very thankful for what they've provided to us, and moving forward and creating a space that can be used for soccer, but other things too.
That's true. And so that project is how far along?
So we're like in the middle of this project. So
In the middle,
we're-
okay.
Yeah, so we have the demo going. We're hitting water season, so we want to make sure that our irrigation is coming in. We have we have to level the land and get it prepped. We're moving fences to make room for the soccer field to fit in there appropriately. So we're at the highlight of moving forward in this project. Really excited and can't wait to see it as a finished project.
Nice. When do you think it might see its first soccer ball?
I think we're a year away from that because we have to let the grass grow. We want to make it with
natural turf.
Natural turf,
okay.
And so we want to make sure it's a good playing field. So
not this summer, but maybe by next spring.
By next spring, I'm anticipating. Yeah.
Talk about new soccer field at Bloomfield High School.
Yep.
So very good. Well, that's exciting. I know for a lot of soccer fans, for sure.
Oh yeah, I've been stopped by coaches. I've been stopped by kids, and they're excited, and that's good. I mean, that proves to me that there was a need for that kind of field there at the high school. So to see that level of excitement by players and coaches and even parents have actually responded that, they're excited to see that we're doing that. So It's a positive.
Well, and as we talk about, school facilities, they really become community facilities too. I mean, the schools, they're not locked away necessarily. I mean, they're open for other uses when school's not in session and things like that. And so, the quality of your school facilities does reflect on the community too, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Our facilities get used by multiple people and throughout the community. I mean, even at one of our schools, we have Yaffle that plays on our fields.
Right,
they
sure.
practice on our fields. So bringing all those community members in and allowing them to have multi-use of the facilities, that's great. I mean, building community, it's building unity within Bloomfield Schools, and then the future of our future athletes in our high schools and whatnot. I mean, it is a positive thing.
That's wonderful. James Olivas is my guest this morning. He is the Director of Data, Operations, and Assessment for the Bloomfield School District.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about assessments, because we're getting into the assessment season, are we not?
Right, we're getting into the assessment season. Really, the highlight word of assessment season is change. We are coming into a new era of testing mandated by the state. Park is out, and so we're coming into new tests, the NMASR for the science, and then we're the NMSSA for the reading and math. This is the first year where high school students 10th will take the PSAT, and then the 11th will take the SAT, which traditionally wasn't the test taken.
And this is mandatory for all of your students, right?
This is mandatory testing
10th
for
and 11th graders.
10th and 11th graders. So
Okay.
it's a shift.
Hopefully this is not the first they're hearing about it this morning on the show. They've heard about it before this, right?
Yeah. It's been a huge push forward. So beginning of the year, what are we going to do? How's it going to roll out? There's been a lot of stuff that the state has pushed forward to schools, it's just adapting to change.
Sure. Now, the one thing that I know the state, the governor said she wanted to do after she got into office was to get rid of the park test, and she did that very quickly. That was last year at this time.
Right.
And so there was kind of that transition test that we were talking about before we came on the air this morning, and then now this year there'll be a little bit more of a more formalized replacement park test, I guess.
Right. So we're moving from Pearson, and Park, and then we're moving into the new vendor, which is Cognia. They used to be Measure Progress, and they blended with another company, and they are now the vendor for the new test. Two new tests: the science, the math, and the reading.
I see. And it's still testing your students on the Common Core things that they're being taught and have been taught for years and years and years, right?
Right. The PED has said time and time again, there's really no change into what is being instructed. We're still sticking to the Common Core state standards. That has been their guidance throughout this change, even in last year, that it was going to be the Common Core state standards. If anything, it might be a difference in how they are assessing the Common Core state standards and to what degree or what rigor within those assessments, but it's still the Common Core state standards, and so we've been holding true to instructing that in the classrooms and preparing students to take those tests.
Right. And so when folks, when students maybe hear that they have to take the SAT, I mean, that maybe test has a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe some overarching threats or concerns for folks. It's the SAT, but it really is just another test like any other, isn't it? I mean, we don't want to make too much of it, do we?
Well, to me, we have to take tests. I mean, if you want to get to the next level of something, there usually is a test. I mean, if you want to become a doctor, there's a test. If you want to be a dentist, there's a test. If you want to be a hairstylist, there's a test. So
my driver's license, there's a test.
There's a test. So, the stigma is that tests are bad, but unfortunately, tests actually unlock different opportunities. So, with the SAT, it is a test. It is a test, and it was geared to see how it was to gauge our students prepared to take or pass or college courses in their first year. That was the design of SAT. So again, with the 11th graders taking that test, we can actually measure, are they prepared? Are they going to be successful in school? And our hopes are that the results will say, yeah, they're going to be successful. So, we just have to change our frame of mind that, tests are bad, but we have to remember that tests unlock opportunities. So.
Well, and they really are the only way of knowing what a student has learned by taking a test. I mean, that's really the only way we have to find out, don't we?
Right.
To measure that.
Yeah, to measure progress. You always want to see that you're putting positive progress forward. To know that, if we talked about this in a sports realm, and I was a coach, and the test is, first down, and we didn't make any yardage, are we going to run the same exact play? Probably not. We're probably going to change the play up on the second down, and then see what comes out of it. And if we made positive progress, then we might say, okay, based on that, we're going to make a different play, or we might run a similar play.
Sure.
So it's the same with testing. When those results come out, we can make changes. We can adjust. We can be flexible. We can adjust instruction. We can adjust the learning opportunity. We can adjust the learning experience, and then create even more positive progress for students, because that's our goal. Our goal is to get from point A to point B. The road between that is a very difficult one to understand, but we can do it through testing.
Sure. And to continue your analogy there, as a coach, right after the game, you may review those game films to see what to do differently in the next game. And these tests give you, I think, a lot of data from your students to show how well they did. And some groups may do better in maybe English and others in math. And you can look at that and kind of dig through it to see what maybe needs to change next year, or how to teach some of these concepts a little differently, perhaps.
Yeah, that's true. The thing about these tests is a lot of times they're the snapshot in time. We talk about they're the postmortem autopsy that happens, and you look at a year that's passed, and how well did we do in the year's time in moving students from point A to point B. And so there's a lot of stuff that can come out, a lot of information, a lot of data that can come out that can gear us and point us in better directions. But it's the ongoing routine assessment that's done outside of just your end of year testing. That's really going to guide you and better assisting students. So assessment it's just thinking of it in a different frame of mind, so that you're always looking on how that data can reflects a student's progress, and how you can actually improve instruction or improve the learning experience, so that students can continue to be successful.
Sure. And I would hope that the data is maybe all aligned from earlier in the school year, so you can kind of see that these students that were doing well all year long are still doing well at that final test.
Yeah, that has been a lot of work with Bloomfield Schools. We've teachers are analyzing data, administrators at the site level are analyzing their data. They're trying to make data-informed decisions, so that that can guide their instruction, that can guide what they're providing for students. That kind of information is really beneficial and can help us along the way.
Very good. Well, we just have a couple of minutes remaining this morning, James Olivas. So in those minutes, your advice for students or parents maybe in this testing season as to what they can do to help their students be successful at these tests or assessments?
Yeah, to be successful in the assessments, I think, one, make sure you're getting some good rest. Don't stress out about a test. A test is a test is a test, and either you know it or you don't know it, and that's fine. It's not going to be something that is going to put you down. Think about a test as the next step on what I need to do to get better. To me, the biggest thing I see students is stressing so much about the test. They're worried if they're going to do great or if they're not going to do great. And I think, that kind of like creates some negative energy on them and stress and whatnot. And just go in it with an open mind, go in with it confident and trust yourself. Sometimes you got to trust yourself. Don't always second guess on a test, because that's a bad test strategy to second guess. But just put your best foot forward. I think that's a good strategy when you're doing the assessment, because you got this. That's what I would tell my kids when I was a teacher in the classroom. We got this. We've done this all year long. All you have to do is do what we did all year long, and then if you're putting your best foot forward, then that's all I can ask.
There you go. James Olivas, thanks for coming in this morning.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it very much. My guest, James Olivas from Bloomfield Schools, here with me on KSJE. And I'll be back with more in just a moment, everyone. The time right now is 8:35.
Jeff Bezos